got here, I'm not too sure. Look, 7 times. Dave, you have called me 7 times. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm kind of getting a tattoo here, buddy. You know what I mean? I'm really busy. Can you tell we're really busy? We better go.
Yeah, let's go.
Poor Dave. I'm coming, buddy. Yeah, you just called again. Like 30 seconds ago, he just called again. Let's go and make a surprise visit. Privacy, please. We should really respect that. Hey, buddy. You've been called. Dude, you called me how many times? Can you unlock this thing, dude, please? I was here.
What's up?
What's up, buddy? Woo! Sorry, dude. Welcome.
We were at New York Comic Con last year, right? Great time, always goes wonderful. The kids kill it with the costumes. The women, they kill it with the costumes. What was your experience like working a con versus being there as a fan?
Well, working it is a lot of pressure, right? So I have to make sure that Jason was fed, that he ate, that he, took breaks, the merchandise, make sure he got to the the Q&As and stuff like that. So it was, I never really got to enjoy like walking the floor like I did in New York Comic Con, but I was still behind the scenes, and I was able to see so many amazing cosplays and cosplayers, and, the things that cosplayers bring to conventions. Like, there would not be conventions without cosplayers. Right. And same thing when we went to New York Comic Con, I was able to see at least the cosplayer interact. Like, the kid that came up to you and he was so like, "Oh my God, Venom!" It was such a sweet moment, because these kids. I mean, a lot of people don't do it for the kids, but even as adults, you see costumes that you're like, "Wow!" Like, you made that out of paper, you made that out of rubber. Like, what?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. They look like they're almost auditioning to be in an MCU flick.
Like, I've seen Jason was always did like a costume contest. He was like the judge, and we saw so many like amazing costumes that I wanted to be like, "Hey, let me take a picture," but I'm working, so I couldn't. Right. But I was more amazed by the cosplayers than I was by the celebrities, to be honest, because you wouldn't think like, how did you make that out of paper? Right. You know what I mean? And a lot of people definitely put their heart and soul into these costumes. So
yeah. When you're at the convention and you're doing all of this work for him, super busy, did you ever have to kind of put on a security hat as well and keep the fans back, keep the ladies back? I know he's a martial artist and he could fight, and I know you got stories about him needing to really pull out the jiu-jitsu. What type of martial artist was he actually? He
was, when he passed, he was 8th degree black belt. He created his own karate style called Tosu Kundo. But he knew a lot. He knew jiu-jitsu. He knew Wing Chun, which is Bruce Lee's martial arts. Nice. But he was, Muay Thai. He was a Muay Thai champion. He was
a problem.
Yeah, he definitely knew a lot. He taught me how to knock a guy out, or like, defend myself. Mm-hmm. So it was
dangerous.
Yeah. He's like, "Oh, and make sure you hit him this way, or in this spot." So I was like, "Oh, nobody better mess with me," because he taught me. But you play many hats, you know what I mean? Because you are that middleman. So everyone saw me first before him. So luckily his fans are great. I never really had too many like crazy, other than that, in 2017, someone tried to kill him. So
that's wild.
Yeah. So other than that, it was usually pretty okay. I did have to like step in sometimes, because they were like, "Can you sign my boobs?" I'm like, "No, he cannot sign your boobs." Like, I would be from left field, like, no, he can't.
You caught that one, right?
Yes. I'm like, "No,
you put that nipple away."
Exactly. I'm like, "No," and like
no areolas either.
Nothing other than like. But he was such a gentleman. He would like sign their shoulder blades or something like that. Sign babies and stuff like that. Right, but like only like what sometimes I would have to, it was more interfering like with other people that worked the con if they were rude and stuff. I mean, I've seen him. He definitely was a scary guy when he was angry because he didn't take BS from anyone. You know what I mean? So I didn't have to do too much security, but everything else. In Chicago one time, a security guard was rude with him, and it was a girl, and I stepped in, and he's like, "Were you really gonna fight?" I was like, "Of course I was gonna fight her. I don't care." You know what I mean? It was just he liked that, I guess, because I was always ready to fight.
But well, I mean, I guess being down with him, you can't, you know how you say punks jump up to get beat down, right?
Yeah,
so no, we can't be no punks around him, right?
No, he didn't. He's like, he did not. I remember we went to Mexico, and when we went to Guadalajara, so you know the cartel is really big there.
Right.
And when the first thing we got there, they were like, "You guys can't leave the hotel." And he was like, "I want tacos." Like he loved Mexican food, so he's like, and the guy was like, "Nope, you guys can't leave the hotel. The cartel, you know, threatened to steal the celebrities for ransom, right?" Jeez. So like after we were there for a few days. After like the second day, he was like, "I want real Mexican food," and I was like, "Let's go." I was like, okay, let's go. We Googled a restaurant like literally like 2-3 blocks away.
Right.
And I was like, let's go. It was really late at night. And he's like, we're walking and he's like, what if somebody comes right now and tries to kidnap us? I was like, us? You're like white as snow. I will start talking in Spanish and act like I'm Mexican. Like you're go on your own. And you know, it was just like that. He was amazing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't be a chicken because he didn't like that. You know what I mean?
Right. So somebody trying to kill him.
Yeah.
How does he handle that? How do you handle that? Like, that's serious.
I think that's
scary.
It's very scary. When it's your time, it's your time. If it's not your time, it's not your time. That day it was at Phoenix Comic Con in 2017. And I was going to go, his other assistant and him. And I was the only one coming from New York because his other assistant was from Texas. And my flight got delayed because it was storming really bad here in New York. And I was like, hey, I'm not going to make it to be there early. And he's like, well, then I'm going to wait for you. I was like, no. Like, it was crazy. I was like, if you don't want to wait. And he's like, no, I want to wait for you. But if my flight wouldn't have been delayed, we would have been there early and the guy would probably have shot at us.
Wow.
Because, he was literally, when they caught him, he was literally waiting in the elevator for Jason to arrive. That's crazy.
That's wild. And this was all through the convention.
Yes. He was dressed as a Punisher. He was a big guy.
Like, Arizona Comic Con.
Yeah, Phoenix. In Phoenix. It was Phoenix Comic Con at that time. And the guy was a huge guy. Like he must have been like 420, like, and tall and dressed as the Punisher. His car was as the Punisher car. And when they found him, they found so much arsenal on him that he could have probably wiped out the whole con.
You see, stuff like that is what makes Comic-Con, comic book fans, you know, get a bad rap.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like people think like, oh, you know, they're weird. I'm like, no, not everybody's like that. You know, like most people are, no pun intended, you know, cool geeks, right? Yeah. Like you geek out about what you're into, you enjoy it, you have a great time, and you go home, and then that's it for the day or whatever. But then you have a few bad apples that try to ruin the bunch, and then just take it too far.
I mean, and that sucked because right after, like, there was a lot more security. They didn't want, you know, cosplayers to come in with their fake guns and fake knives. It was, you know, the guy had like ninja stars, like he had crazy weapons. So it did become a safety issue after, you know, because my understanding, people come to Comic-Con to have fun.
Right, yeah,
to express
very
yourself.
non-pretentious event.
Exactly. Like sometimes you have these people that are like self-conscious and aren't outspoken or social, but at Comic-Cons they are, because they can dress up and become the character that they're dressed up. So I think if all of us just understand that these people are playing a character, Jason was not Tommy. He played Tommy, but he wasn't Tommy. You know what I mean? And you know, Robert Downey Jr. isn't Iron Man. He plays Iron Man. But I think if you know that balance, then that wouldn't be an issue. But this guy obviously had mental health issues. You know, he made up a story that he stabbed Jason years ago. And Jason was like, I've never been stabbed. I don't know what he's talking about. He was like that Jason was a drug dealer, that he was saving Jason's family from him because Jason was an abuser. Like, he just made up a lot of wild stories.
Out of control.
Yeah.
So do you think that there was any part of having his life threatened that made him, like he maybe internalized that, and maybe that had to do with, adding pressure and making him go into a depressed place?
Like a lot of people are like, wow, like let's go home, right? My first thing was like, let's go home, and he's like, no, I can't let my fans down. And I was like, you almost got shot at. And we almost all, because think about it, everyone around him would have probably left.
Right.
Like we would have been hit because we were close to him. So he was more scared about, he's like, how would I go and tell your mom that you're gone? Or, tell the other assistant's family that she's gone. Or even the fans. He was more worried about everyone else than anything. But he kept going. He's like, I'm not letting my fans down. I'm still going to stay here. I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to do conventions. Even though many people, including his family, told him stop. And because it's scary. You don't want to lose someone, that way and in a place that you're supposed to have fun. You know what I mean? So right. It was hard. Even my mom was like, don't go back, like stop. And I was like, I gotta keep going. He wants to keep going, so I'm gonna keep going.
Don't you wish you were a Superman? Take off to the sky. Or don't you wish you were a Superman? Against oppression we rise.